This weekend in Seattle is a very important one for Mariners fans. Sure, the city of Seattle is hosting the All-Star festivities, and Luis Castillo, George Kirby, and Julio Rodriguez are representing the Mariners in the All-Star game, but the most important piece for the Seattle Mariners' future is happening on Sunday. This is the 2023 MLB Draft. Sure, the MLB Draft is very important for every team. However, the Seattle Mariners this year are positioned better than any team in baseball to capitalize on this one-of-a-kind draft class. The Seattle Mariners have not one, not two, but 3 draft picks in the top 30 picks overall, and they have their first 3 picks before the Mets or the Dodgers have their first pick.
Right now, the way I really look at it is we have 3 picks in the top 30. Just line up the best 30 players in the country. We're going to get 3 of them to the organization, and that's a pretty good place to be sitting.
And their first 3 picks are the 22nd, 29th, and 30th overall picks. And what have the Mariners done in the first round of the past 5 drafts? Well, in 2018, they took Logan Gilbert, who just threw the first complete game shutout of his career and the first complete game shutout for the Mariners since 2019. 2019's first round draft pick was George Kirby, who just made his first career All-Star game. 2020, Emerson Hancock. 2021, Harry Ford. And last year in 2022, Cole Young. So, with the Mariners scouting, they have the potential to take up to 3 of the same caliber of George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, Emerson Hancock, Harry Ford. You get the picture. It's a big deal. This draft is being talked about by experts as being the deepest draft in recent memory.
This is the deepest draft that I've ever seen, and it's I've been doing this a fair bit of time now, and the top of this class has 4 or 5 players that have a chance to be, iconic. There's top end in this draft. There are stars throughout the first round. Even, you're going to get the opportunity in this draft to take everyday players beyond the first round, which is a very unusual thing in a baseball draft.
With COVID canceling so many high school seasons back in 2020, those players that may have been drafted if they had played their senior year of high school were then led to attend a major 4-year university. And if you attend a 4-year university, you cannot become eligible for the MLB draft until after your junior year of college, which for those guys that missed out on high school in 2020 is right now. Although there is one exception, and you can be drafted after your sophomore year if you turn 21 years old within 45 days of the MLB draft. On top of COVID, there's now the NIL, which is name, image, and likeness, where college athletes can now get paid money for their likeness. So instead of a high schooler getting drafted and signing for maybe $500,000, they can now go to school for 3 years, make $100,000+ a year while in school. If you're a top athlete, you can make millions a year, versus having taken that signing bonus out of high school and then playing in the minor league conditions along with minor league pay. Now, those are just a couple explanations for the college athletes in this draft. As for the high school talent, from what Scott Hunter said during his media availability, it sounds like the high schoolers nowadays are just more mature. They throw harder, hit the ball harder. With all of the technology and the science that has come out over the past few years, high school pitchers are just that much better, throwing that much harder with that much better stuff. And those hitters in high school are now seeing every day top velocity and movement.
I think, the way the training, kids are so much more mature now. It's amazing how many times you go to a draft room and say, this kid throws 98, maybe he's going to go to college. And those are talking about high school kids like that. I think just the training age and the things that kids are exposed to, they're just getting so much bigger, stronger, and faster, and they're so specialized right now. There's not a real margin, a real separation between the premium high school guys and the college guys that have had 3 years, physicality-wise.
The Mariners' 22nd overall pick is just due to the standings at the end of the year. The Mariners' 29th overall pick is because Julio Rodriguez won the AL Rookie of the Year after being rated as a preseason top 100 prospect by at least 2 of MLB Pipeline, Baseball America, and/or ESPN, and was on the Mariners' opening day roster. And the prospect promotion incentive pick is written to immediately follow the end of the first round. This is amazing timing for Julio Rodriguez, potentially a once-in-a-generational type talent, to come up and win Rookie of the Year, as this is the first year that this compensation is available. The new collective bargaining agreement that was signed before last season wrote this compensation into place. And then the Mariners also have the 30th overall pick. After the PPI compensation comes the competitive balance round A. All teams that have either one of the 10 smallest markets or 10 smallest revenue pools receive an additional pick at the end of the first or second round. The groups of teams alternate between the 2 rounds each year. And so this year, the Mariners ended up in competitive balance round A, so they follow the end of the first round. Next year, they'll follow the end of the second round. It's worth noting that in baseball, in general, you cannot trade draft picks. However, you can trade the prospect promotion incentive pick or the competitive balance picks. Now, you might be asking why the Mets and the Dodgers don't technically have a pick in their first round. Well, their first pick both dropped 10 spots because they exceeded the competitive balance tax threshold by more than $40 million. On top of the 22nd, 29th, and 30th overall picks, the Mariners also have the number 57 overall pick, making it 4 picks in the top 57, and they will have 4 picks before the Dodgers take their second pick. So now the conversation becomes, what players do the Mariners take with those top 3 picks? Well, as you hear both Scott and Jerry talk about, this is a very deep position player draft.
There's depth, particularly among position players. This is a position player rich draft and it's high school, it's college, as good as I've ever seen. I couldn't be more excited about having the picks stacked up the way we do. I think we're going to do some real damage on draft day and put talent into our system that truly would take us multiple drafts to accrue.
So we'll definitely be looking at some of these position player names, but there is 1 or 2 pitchers where if they're available with that 22nd overall pick, they very well might go that route as well. Now, getting into the draft prospect rankings, you got Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz, of course, 1, 2. Then you got Wyatt Langford from Florida, Walker Jenkins and Max Clark, our high schoolers. And then you go down the list and get to around the 20s, which is where the Mariners are going to be selecting here at 22. What I'm hoping happens is that Tommy Troy here, a shortstop at Stanford, happens to fall to 22 to the Mariners. We'll see. His scouting says that his standout tool is his ability to make consistent hard contact from the right side of the plate, and he rarely strikes out or chases out of the zone. He also is an above average runner, and even though he played shortstop in college, he could definitely move over to second base, maybe third base. There's definitely a need for the Mariners at second base. Third base, there's going to be a need in a couple years once A. Eugenio's contract is up. So Tommy Troy is definitely a name that I'm looking at. You also have a few other college bats right in this area. You have Jacob Gonzalez from Mississippi, Yohandy Morales from Miami. You got Brock Wilson from Wake Forest. A high school pitcher that I'd be interested in if he fell to the Mariners spot at 22 would be Thomas White, 6'5", 210 lefty. He's got a 60 grade fastball already, a 55 curveball, 50 changeup, 50 control. His fastball gets up to 96, 97. He has a plus curveball currently and then also a low 80s changeup that he's working on. There's also this potential two-way high schooler. He's a first baseman / right-handed pitcher, Bryce Eldridge out of Virginia. He's got 50 grades overall. The scouting reports say that typically with two-way players, it's pretty obvious, if they're going to be a hitter or a pitcher. But with him, it's a bit of a debate. He's got solid power at the plate as well as a fastball up to 95, 96, low 80 slider, and a potential changeup. And I mean, the guy's 6'7", 220 as an 18-year-old. So the power and the velocity can only go up from here. Outside of that, it's really a crapshoot. There's a ton of high school infielders in this range, really from 23 all the way up to 34, which is where the Mariners would be taking all 3 of their picks. So we'll see what the Mariners are feeling on draft day, if they're wanting to take the high school potential and, the timetable is a few years down the road, or if they want to go with some college guys, at least one college guy, to throw into the mix with some of the top prospects that they already have. Needless to say, it's going to be an awesome day and an awesome weekend to be a Mariners fan. Make sure to go to MLB.com/prospects/draft. Check out some of the names. Let me know who you think the Mariners will draft, and if they'll go high school, college, pitcher, or position player. And of course, I'll have a draft recap video probably the day after the draft, so make sure to watch out for that as well. Make sure to like and subscribe for more baseball content throughout the season, and we'll see you next time.
All right, guys, goodbye, Sunday. Don't forget it.